Imagine this. You develop a risk assessment program that is very comprehensive, but you don't have the resources or even time to assess all your critical applications because one, your resources are, you don't have it. Two, there's a lot of critical applications that you need to assess. So time is not on your side, and neither are the people to support this program. So you identify key areas of your risk assessment program that you just want to run those. So basically a partial risk assessment program. But even if you run that partial risk assessment, only targeting a few things of the entire program, you discover a lot of deficiency across the organizations, and you just did a few applications. And that strike the interest of your leadership. Well, they want to do more and more and perhaps even faster. But once again, the limitations are still there. A lot of applications, not enough personnel to run this program. So you decided, well, let me do a questionnaire-based risk assessment. Well, let me tell you this. That is not a risk assessment at all. And you might not agree with me, but I will stand my ground. That is not a risk assessment. That is a controls assessment. No, but it's not a risk assessment. You cannot assess the risk of your organization based on questionnaire. If, you don't agree with me, just run a use case here. Send a questionnaire and ask them, how many unauthorized users do you have in your system? And system could be server, databases, router, firewall, switches, applications, and whatnot. How many unauthorized users do you have? And see what the questions, the answer of that question you will get back. I doubt it you will find any. But then again, right? I don't know. But I don't consider that a risk assessment. Send a question, put another question. How many systems you have that do not have the latest patches installed? And what is the oldest vulnerability you have in your system? I mean, if you ask those questions in a questionnaire format, in a qualitative format, you will get answers that won't be reliable and will be more aligned with the security controls and maturity processes and so forth and so forth, but not a risk assessment. And that's why I stand my ground that a questionnaire is fool's exercise, if you will, if you doing under the context of risk assessment. If you're doing as part of a qualitative controls assessment, yes, under that context is valid. And even then, I would do questionnaire for lower level environments, so like a test environment, development environment. But when you do production environment or critical systems, I will have not only the questionnaire, but also provide me evidence because I want to, check for myself. But on a risk assessment by questionnaire, that's not it. No, if you don't agree with me, post in the comments below. I want to see, I want to hear your perspective on this. Perhaps, you change my mind. But right now is the way I see it. The assessment's done not by questionnaire, going there and verifying, validating the users on the system with the users that are authorized, knowing that users there, they're no longer in a company or they no longer in that particular department, or why this user has admin access and the others don't, and roles versus your AD group, and so on and so forth, and vulnerabilities that are 6, 8, 9, 10 months old and they haven't been patched. Did you know about this? Do target vulnerability scanning for those systems and evaluate and so on and so forth. That cannot be done by questionnaire. So how you expand a good risk assessment program? Well, if you cannot hire, can you agree on a timetable on assessing these applications? Can you resort the priority? Yes, these are all critical applications, but out of the critical, what is the most critical out of the critical? So establish a priority. See what, the rise up to the top and start assessing that way. Yes, so perhaps the questionnaire could be something to prioritize your list. Because if you do one, let's entertain that idea. If you do a risk assessment or a questionnaire, right, and you receive the answers, and I decide, let me take a sample set that is representative of that total population and ask and do an actual physical assessment of those, not by questionnaire. I'm going to go over there and do a risk assessment. And the answer is coming valid. What makes that questionnaire total invalid? Because that was a futile exercise. Because if you are doing by that with that purpose, now if you're doing with the purpose of priority, well, perhaps you need to change a little bit the questions there. But if you're doing it based on priority, then yes, the questionnaire was successful. But then again, that was not a risk assessment. So you get caught there in a conundrum. So if you think differently, please put a comment in there. I would like to hear it from you, hear your perspective. I'm always listening to new perspectives and changing my own based on these experiences that other individuals in the field have that I don't. So what do you think about it? Risk assessment or questionnaire? We're actually doing a risk assessment. Which one is more effective in your organization?